What do you think, Amber? This is episode 12. This is the new steering column. It's all spliced together. Fortunately, I had to splice it twice. But it's new simplified. This goes directly into the Miata U-joint right there. And that's the Nissan Leaf U-joint there at the column. What do you think? Super simple, right? She's not impressed. Here at episode 12, you can tell the rack has all been simplified. Got rid of all the holes. Welded them up in here. Painted it up. Welcome to episode 12, which is all about moving the motor mount, redesigning the rack, simplifying it to a single column. Also install some rear 12mm wheel studs, wheel spacers, fix the oil pump, fix the cluster, paint the wheels, plug some holes in the engine bay, and probably some other stuff. You see, I finally get rid of some holes in the engine bay. So let's get started on episode 12. Okay, so I'm getting close. I got the rack pretty much at the right height now. I just need to move it back closer to the engine, and I think I can. I think there's room. We'll start hitting here, but it looks like I'll be able to put the motor mount back on. Go right underneath the motor mount. I'm gonna hit right here. I need to go back like an inch, inch and a half, I think. The only issue I have, well, I know of, I got no bump steer. I got no bump steer right now with this height, so the height is good. No noticeable bumps that I can detect with full cycle. I don't know about sway bar clearance yet, but the issue I got is that when I do full lock to the right, I don't have the full cycle. And I think it's because, well, I know it's because the rack is not far enough back so I get straight. I need this rack to be pretty much straight at full turn so I get the full stroke, because that's what I need to get full turn. I figured that out last night. So I'm just a little bit away. Just need another a quarter of an inch of movement this way to get full lock to lock. So the rack has got to go back at least an inch. So maybe just the frame's gonna have to get cut, but no bump steer. All I did was match the angle of the lower control arm. I don't know if you can see that or not. Stupid reflections. I could even go up a hair, but let me see if I can push it back. I made a little centering jig. Oh, that's pretty close. I made a little tool. That's pretty much center. And the wheel, I'm just eyeballing toe. Kind of think that's straight. Just trying to get in the ballpark, but definitely everything is good. The height is good. The rack is totally centered now. I decided to do a new method. I've measured the center of the cross member and the center of the rack. This frame is tapered. It goes downhill and it goes inward. So this is not the same as this. And the top is not the same as the bottom. As you can see, it's clearly angled, which is fun. I'm not good enough, barely good enough with squares, never mind trapezoids. I just got it duct taped in again so I can play with the angles. But technically I could probably, I think I may raise it up like 1/8 of an inch. The only way to do that is to notch these tubes or move the cross member again. But definitely need to go back more, which is definitely going to hit the frame. It's going to clear the motor mount even more, but it's definitely going to get into this little structural thing. Torsion bars are going to go away in the future, but still going to have the lower control arm mount there. So I'm not doing a solid axle swap like I have in the past. I've converted rack and pinion to thing, but I've never done conventional to rack and pinion. Did the D40 where I ripped all the stuff out, and I did a bunch of solid, I did 5 solid axle swaps where I ripped all the stuff out. This is actually harder. So yeah, I've got the shaft is pretty lined up. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm getting close. Okay, just had to take another inch out of the tie rod on the left side. The one on the right side was good. I can do my complete tests, but everything's looking good. I'll show you in a second. I just took another inch out of, I think this is Versa, and this is Miata. This is just a mock-up, just a test. I'll get real tie rods the right size, but I think this is the right size. Everything's looking really good. Just mocked it up again, cycled it again, and without even hitting the frame, I was able to get these to go inside. I got maybe just slight rubbing here, but I could probably even clock this up a little bit more and miss the frame completely. That'll be amazing. So yeah, I think the only thing next left to test is sway bar clearance, and then put the motor mount back on. Okay, so I just cut off. This goes up to the steering wheel. Okay, the Miata. Don't need that. This is a very complex Miata column. 1/2 inch inside diameter, which is what I need to connect to my existing 1/2 inch. I already coupled to the other one. I wanted to use this whole thing as is, but there's a rubber in the middle. I think these are steel pins. It goes down paper thin steel, like 14 gauge here in the middle. But it's exactly 5/8, I think, down here spline. Then it goes down to like 14 millimeters. It steps down right there. Then it gets glued up to here, vulcanized. I guess it's like a crash thing. And then it flares up again right here up to the thick wall. This tube is... Alright, I think I found the magic spot. Got the column all mocked up. No modification to the frame there. Motor mount has been removed. It will be reinstalled. But everything is tested good, left and right. So I think I'm going to tack it on. Ooh. Oh shit, there's the wire. Step 1, remove engine. Step 2, get in engine bay. Got nice lined up. This battery tray is definitely strong. Why is the truck so high? Okay. I don't think I've done another bump test in a while. Alright, so I was having a problem with this shaft not centering in here. I cut slots in it, clamped it down, and it was tight here, but it was loose back here. So what I did is I wrapped 3 sheets, I wrapped a piece of paper like that long, you may be able to see it in there, around it like 3 times, and then I shoved it in, and now it's tight. Now, I mean, before I even put the clamp, this end was tight. And I just squeeze this end down, so the paper's all back here. Paper will degrade. Once it's welded, forget it. You know, it's in. But I want to keep that thing centered. Now this shaft is actually the same outside diameter, but the inside diameter is 1/2 inch, so it is actually snug. Now this one down here, this one's a little bit skinnier than that one, so I'll just squeeze that one. If not, I'll do the paper trick again, because that worked. Okay, so here's the only issue I got. So here's like ride height, full lock, so full right turn. It's actually on the bump stop on the back here. That side's fully turned. And it looks like I got tons of clearance, right? But watch, I was hit a pothole while turning full right. The sway bar doesn't actually hit, but comes very close. But what it would do is it would actually pinch the plastic boot or rubber boot on the inner tire right here. So I need, this is all welded solid now, by the way. So it doesn't hit, and that's just full right, full droop, so like jumping or whatever. Pretty extreme. But it looks like the easy fix is just to lengthen this like 1 inch. Move the sway bar up, because I don't think lengthening that would cause any side effects, right? Let's think about it. Let's go to full bump. Bottom. If that sway bar was 1 inch longer, now we're actually, there's a lot of clearance right here. If this was an inch longer, it would not hit the frame, and if I had to notch that frame, not a big deal. It's just dropout bushings. Technically only need one. Okay, so here's the final piece. So this shaft slides back. This shaft is a little bit, it tapers down, so I'm gonna put some paper around here. Try this trick again. Oh, I need to put the clamp on there. And then that shaft will go inside that one. And slide, the whole thing slides down to this one. Should have put the clamp on there though, is that enough? Yeah, another clamp. I don't know if you can see that or not. You guys see what you're doing? I'm doing. Okay, here goes. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing or not. Oh! That better? Where am I? Okay, I got that slit in there. I gotta have this bolt in here, the little notch. Oh, why is this bolt like that sometimes? You can see the notch. Like sometimes bolts go right in, sometimes they don't. This thing only goes in one way. It's got a key. This one's on. Where's the ear ratchet? Oh. That goes on. Okay, so they're both out. That thing's tight, cross member's tight. So now the lead shaft, still got a little place, so that comes all the way down over the bigger shaft. Okay, now that's bottomed out. So once I weld that, it'll slide it back up and I can actually take it off, which is cool. So now I gotta tighten this thing. Hopefully. Oh, that's good. It's no slop. Okay, so that's where it needs to be welded. That's nice. And so now in theory, if I turn the wheels will turn. Oh, look, I can actually stand on the cross member. Oh, stay there a second. Turn the wheel. Oh man, the wheels are turning. Oh, it's miles away from the frame. It's like a quarter inch. There's left. Oh, that bolt. Stupid wires. Everything looks like. That's full right. Man, it seems like 100 turns. Okay, lock to lock, nothing rubbed. And it actually turned the wheel. I don't know if you saw any of that. That was awesome. Oh, this magnet is too much. So I think what you didn't see is I just welded this across here and there. I bolted these two down tight. I got to take these mounts off. These are still clamped, so I could still raise it up and down, and I could still go back and forth, even though everything else is welded. But that'll do. I think I got lock to lock everywhere. Oh, it's not touching. Close though. Oh, turn the wheel. It's very close to touching. I don't know if the toe end is right though. But oh man, there we go. I just turned the whole assembly, but turn the wheel. Okay. Assuming the toe is good, I can still play with the adjustment of that rack. I can still move forward. So hopefully the engine will clear. I just measured it. It hangs down about 4 inches from here. And this is like 3.5. So I don't know if I got to cut the oil pan. But then I measured the oil pan, and it's only 8 inches wide, which is only like from here to here. So that means if the oil pan is centered directly in the middle of the truck, which I assume it is, then it shouldn't hit this. And it's pretty close. What was it again? 4 inches, about 4 inches. Yeah, that's less than 4 inches. It's about 3.5. Or maybe notch the oil pan, I don't know. We'll see, or raising the engine, I don't know. I don't really want to do that. I may put the engine back in tomorrow. See, just temporarily, to see if it clears all this madness. And if it doesn't, then I think we'll notch the pan, because that's where the rack wants to be, or it needs to be. I can't change that easily. Okay, just got rid of the battery. I really like how well made this was. I just didn't like the fact that it was so big, designed for a 65, you know, 60s technology battery. Now they're skinnier and stuff. I'm thinking about moving the battery back here more. I may reuse this, just cut it down, section it, make it smaller and taller or whatever. But for now, it's out. And that was a lot of work to get out. A million spot welds. I went ahead and removed all the tags and sanded everything, got rid of all the clips. I found a broken bolt on the wiper I forgot about. I got to drill that out, retap that, sanded everything. I went ahead and removed all these wire ties, except for the ones along the top. I removed them all from the inner fender wells. Already got rid of the extra horn because, you know, it was smashed. Somebody smashed it. I don't know if you saw, but I put the motor mount back on. I've got an idea for that. I'm going to put the engine back in and redesign the bracket on the block and put it on here. The rack's right here. I need to plug up this hole. I need to find a boot for the steering column that goes through here, and then I can basically cut this out and put a square plate there. Took out all the stickers. There's a bunch of stickers on the truck. This one peeled right off. I still need to find a hood cable, but yeah, I cleaned it all up, covered all the wire ties, and just grinded everything, make sure there's nothing pokey. Lots of holes I don't know what are for. I think that's for the brakes, that's for the heater. But yeah, now I got to finish off the rack. This thing's a mess. I'm gonna take up the cross member and clean it up, reinforce it. But yeah, it's I could weld up this hole today. Try to. Still have no idea where the air conditioning lines went to. If that's what those are for, they go through there and there. Why would you put a condenser on this truck? I mean, there's just, what is it, like a little tiny thing? Skinny thing? I've never seen one that small. I don't know. I want to put air conditioning on here. No idea where. I don't mind bumping out the radiator and putting it here and putting an electric fan or something, whatever it takes. But where do you put the AC condenser? I don't know. Figure it out later. Notice there's a ton of shims in here I need to get rid of. Fix the alignment. But yeah, let's take out the cross member. All my welding. This welding came out good, but this looks all ugly. I got an idea to reinforce it to connect to this cross member. This is the upgraded steering. I had to take this off because it wasn't level with that one. So now I cut all the welds. I got to re-weld it, but I added a piece over here. I'm going to put a piece of squirt tube that goes down to the cross member to keep it from side to side. Cut some triangles, put in the corners. Also cut some more little reinforcements. Also, these will help. Something like that. Push to the left side, right side. That's so far, and little triangles in the corners. This is just it's a 10mm bolt. These are all the 10mm Mazda bolts. So that's gonna get welded on the frame, then another piece. So now I just gotta weld this to this, weld this to this, this to that, 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 etc. And then weld that to the frame. Okay, there's the start of the next mount. Just weld it in a little bolt and some brackets. Put the cross member back in. Alright, I had a little mess up. Cross member that I made across here didn't clear all this rubber. So I decided to upgrade this to 1/4" thick steel. Made some new ones. Gonna make a new cross member. Upgraded the studs, longer bolts. That makes it easier to put it on and off. Basically, I'm using some old BG30 exhaust studs, I think they are. And these are just 2 longer bolts. This is actually the original bolt. This is the original Mazda bolt. Now that I got thicker steel, it's too thin, too short. So now I got a new problem. So the problem is the bracket wouldn't go across. I welded all to that other one. I wouldn't clear all this rubber. So I gotta make some spacers. Gotta weld those onto that. And then make a new cross member and another bar down to the frame. So, okay, I had a little issue. The rack was not perfectly centered. It was a 1/4 inch crooked. So I decided to fix it now. So I had to cut this thing off, which was not easy. And all these welds. Getting this weld off, I had to use a die grinder. And I just ground it out. So now I can slide this in. And because these two mounts are not the same circles, the rubber gaskets are not exactly the same. The rack is a weird shape. So I screwed up, got it crooked. So I'm going to fix it. And put it on the right way. Put this all back together, get the rack in perfect. I'm going to work on the second part. Okay, so I just made a little jig here using some scrap tube. Now basically got these the same dimension on both sides. This bracket was just, you can see when I cut it off, it's only off. I can actually see back. Like what, 1/8 of an inch or something? Just a little bit, but it made it, the rack was a little bit crooked compared to that cross member. I was trying to get this thing as square and perfect as possible. So let me weld this back up, put it in the truck. Okay, so now I've added another spacer here to connect this all together. I got a washer in there just to get a little space. A little piece of tape to hold the washer in temporarily. I moved the mount over this much, what's that, 1/2 inch? Just to get a little bit more room. And just a better place. So now the rack is really solid. I don't know if this is the final design, but it should be good enough for a test drive at least. So now we can focus on plugging some holes. I'm still gotta put the engine back in and see if this thing clears. I hope it will. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna have to cut the pan or what. I think I'm gonna put the engine back in and try to figure out how to fix this motor mount. A little patch panel for the steering column used to go through. Looks a lot like, no, couldn't be from that, no. Oh, stupid lighting. Yeah, it's pretty good. So instead of welding around like I did on the first try, what I decided to do was just drill the holes, the 1/8 inch holes, and just spot weld it. I screwed it on first, and I'm liking this so much better. It's a lot easier and faster, and I don't have to, I know it's not ideal, but that's how the factory did it. You can see all the nasty spot welds they did. So it'll still look better than that, but that's the way I'm doing it. I like it. I'm going to seam seal it when I'm done, and it'll look good. Oh, I like overlapping. I think it'll be a lot stronger. So I went ahead and welded in the little reinforcements, a little extra strength. I think I already showed you that piece welded in. This thing is solid now. I've been standing on it. Yeah, like I said before, this frame is bowing inward this way, and it goes downhill. So I wanted to make sure I weld these gussets into the frame with this flat stock in the frame because it's a weird shape. Literally, the frame is maybe flat this way, but it's definitely tapered this way and down. So it kind of comes from the bottom like a pie shaped and slides right in perfectly. But I've taken it in and out 20 times. You can't really put it in from the top, you got to pop it in from the bottom. So yeah, looking good. I got that all plugged up, ready for seam sealer. Got to do that bottom hole with a hole in it for the steering shaft. I got to do this one, so I think I'm going to put the engine back in and see if the engine clears this madness. See if I need to modify the pan or not. Okay, I just installed a 2-inch wheel spacer on stock wheels. I'm liking that a lot. Clears the caliper, that's all that matters. It looks so much better being pulled out a little bit. Now this is a full droop. I just did a 2-inch spacer on the front as well, just as a test. This spacer I bought for the back, but I just wanted to see what it looks like on the front. Looks so much better with the wheel pulled out. This is not going on here, but I just needed to calculate how much space I have for clearance for this master cylinder. No, there's, even without the spacer, there was nowhere near. No way that wheel was going to hit it. Now this is a full droop, even compressed. It didn't come anywhere near it with these wheels. So looking good. So I gotta look at that hole. Okay, there's the 2-inch spacers with the disc brakes. Maxima brakes. Hard body cable. Sorry, it's still messing here. It clearly says, this looks like it says PY 7-69 4J-14 3.2 something. Oh, 3.2T. So 7 of 69. That's pretty close. This truck was made in 69. It's a 70. This wheel says 3 of 72. This is a different color. And same thing. 4 by. So I think 372 is the date. This wheel says the same thing, 7 of 69. So 2 of my wheels are probably original because the truck was made in April of 70. It's a 70 model. So 2 of them say 7 of 69. 1 says 72, so that's not original. And the other one doesn't have anything at all. It doesn't even use this hubcap. So assuming these are Datsun wheels, got 2 originals. I just gotta find 2 more plus a spare to be authentic. Let's use the wire wheel and a little simple green. This wheel's not looking that bad. Turned up pretty good for a built-in 69. I'm gonna hose this off in a minute and somehow try to paint it. I should pull off the weight and the valve stem, but I don't even think I care at this point. I may try to get these powder coated one day if I like them. But for now, I think I'll just spray can them for now. Man, these wheels are looking good. That's just like 2 coats. I paint the weights. I don't care. It's looking good. Go put another coat on in a minute. Okay. Thanks to Project Time Garage, I finally actually got this thing out. It did not want to come out. It's really tight, these metal clips. I just kept pulling straight down. It finally popped off. And the weird thing was, in the corners, there was a bolt and nut, which didn't seem right to me. A little Phillips head bolt and a nut. So I took those out. And look, there's the hole for the Speedo. There's the Speedo. You won't believe it, but oh man, that motor for the steering just, I think this may actually clear. If it only goes to there, I think I may still be able to use a Speedo cable. I am like pleasantly surprised. I don't know. I need to find the cable. Oh boy, where's that at? Let's see if it actually goes in. I think we need to put some rib nuts in here or something. There's no way that, I think there's a regular clip on there. Just putting a nut on there just seems kind of silly to me. I don't know, so now I gotta fix that. Alright, so here's my new parking brake adjuster for the rear. This is the rear adjuster. There's 2 of them. There's one in the front and one in the back. This is the back one. Got a bigger bolt. Some, I don't know what size this is. Just some old bolt. Basically, I'm making it just almost an inch longer and bigger diameter. So I changed how that goes on here. So I drilled out this, so an 8mm bolt fits through it. And then that welds on there. See if I can weld this back together. I just had a weird issue with the oil pump. I tried to pull the shaft out of it. Couldn't get the shaft out of it. I had to beat it out with the vise. Tried to put it back in. Doesn't fit. I think these ends are a little bit worn. You can kind of see a little shiny spot on there. Never seen that before, but I could not turn the shaft and the pump off the vehicle. Cranked over and everything. I don't know if it had any oil pressure. So now I gotta fix this. I guess I just gotta sand this down a tiny bit. Pretty sure the shaft should fit nicer than that. Well, that was an easy fix. I just filed down the end of there with a hand file. Both of those teeth. Look at that. Now it goes in like it should. And I can line up the old holes. Put it back in. Where's the old holes? If I remember correctly, I think you line up that dot with that dot. Stab it back in. Well, it's official. That hole's gone. God, it's an ugly repair. Now I got about 10 hours of grinding to make that look pretty. That back tab I overlapped. It's actually solid, but it looks like a notch. Wow, I'm really happy with this. This is one coat of semi-gloss. I think 3 coats of satin black. I don't actually have any gloss black. I need to just get a can of gloss black. But man, this wheel looks pretty good from painting it outside in the grass. You can actually read the writing now really easily, which is weird. I'm kind of glad I painted the stupid lead thing, because it would have been a big, ugly, shiny silver lead square if I didn't paint it. But yeah, I'm happy with this. Can't wait to see what the new hubcaps I just ordered. Okay, how to upgrade from 7/16 to 12mm. First of all, get a box of these, or 2. And one way you could cut it off with the bandsaw, that works, or just on the grinder. How long was that? Not very long. Don't touch it. Okay, now that you got a box of lug nuts, let's take out the old ones. You gotta strip off your wheel, your rotor, your drum, whatever you got. And then just put on your old lug nut. Pop them out. I like to use a, it's like a 4-pound sledge. Just come right out. I can reuse the nuts and the studs for something else. Now once you got all those out, got to drill out 1/2-inch hole. That's how long it should take with a good bit. Okay, now the holes are drilled. Let's put in the new studs, 1/2-inch. So the next step, what I like to do is I like to put a little bit of grease on the stud. So I've done, and then I put on a couple of washers. I got a chunk of aluminum here, and a regular little washer, and an old lug nut. Turn this around the tub. The most important thing is you got to make sure that flat spot is lined up on there. And then put a socket on here. See if I can get this for you. There we go. See it on. Easy peasy. And the most important thing about wheel spacers, or any wheels, is you got to torque these to spec. Don't just use a rugga-dugga gun or whatever. These are 12mm. They got like 90 to 100 foot-pounds each. So, very important step.